y'all, I know it's been a little minute since I posted. I just had to get my computer fixed. I had to put it in the shop. It took that long. But we're back with more videos, back with Jasmine Crockett. Let's get right into it. Let's waste no time. Let's go.
House Judiciary Committee in that hearing today. Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who, as you know, is also running for Senate in Texas. Congresswoman, thank you for being here. I know you're very busy with the work that you are doing. I want to begin with the fact that this was the very first time, really, that Jack Smith may have had his day in court, so to speak, publicly. He's wanted to testify publicly. You had advocated for that as well. Do you think that his ability to do so today was a good thing?
I do. I was receiving text messages as the hearing was going on from all kinds of people, other lawmakers, as well as just people back home that were watching. And so I think that it was an opportunity for America to see the credibility of the person who has really been put on trial when it comes to the public opinion, right? And that's been by the president. He has consistently said all kinds of nasty and threatening things about Jack Smith, but Jack Smith as a prosecutor, and you know how this goes, as a prosecutor, he's not a political figure. So this is somebody who was kind of in the shadows. And basically, Jack's like, I am going to stand by my work. The only reason these charges got dropped is because you became president. And we know that that's why he ran, was so that he could avoid prosecution.
You know, you made the point earlier today as well.
That is crazy. He basically finessed, man. He ran so he won't get prosecuted, and they let him do that. Obviously, I'm going to blame Trump, but, like, you got to blame everybody else, bro. He got elected. He got, what's his name, got outvoted, and he won. Like, that is terrible to me. Crazy.
And was so that he could avoid prosecution.
You know, you made the point earlier today as well that he had been criticized more for whether he had the authority to prosecute, more than the actual substance of the allegations that grand juries indicted him on. Why do you think Republicans focus more on really process more than the result?
Because it didn't work out very well for them, right? They didn't want to talk about the actual subject matter, which the subject matter was the fact that the president needed to be prosecuted. And as I stated today, I am almost positive that if Jack Smith would have had his day in court and prosecuted the president, well, the president would be under the jail right now. But unfortunately, he never got to see that day for a number of reasons. One, obviously, involves Eileen Cannon, who is a Trump appointee and basically, I would just say, a Trump flunky.
Obviously, she is the judge who still has a remaining kind of gag order on the classified documents report out of Mar-a-Lago. So he was constrained to some degree of what he could actually say. Many believe there was a perjury trap that was already being set from his presence. And also, would he violate that order and get himself in hot water? Even without that, though, President Trump is calling for him to be prosecuted. In a long line of people, he's already called to be prosecuted. Your reaction?
Correct. Just like most of the other prosecutors that he's gone after, who are sound prosecutors that went after not the president, but they followed the evidence. And the evidence led them to this idea or the conclusion that the president is a criminal. And let me remind people, he is a 34-count convicted felon who was convicted by a jury of his peers. And so I know that Jack Smith is really tight on this. You know, I said in the closed-door deposition that he delivered where he talked about Volume 2 and basically said, I'm not allowed to speak about that because of an order, right? And so they were consistently trying to get him even behind closed doors. And so he's been very careful and methodical, like a good prosecutor would be. And regardless of whether or not he respects Eileen Cannon as a judge or respects her lack of ability to process things in the way that we would expect of a jurist, he still respects the law. And that is the one thing that I want people to understand, as they were going after him and saying that this was nothing but a witch hunt and that it was weaponization. In the midst of all this drama, he's still saying that this rogue judge has a court order and he's abiding by that. That tells you everything that you need to know about who he is.
And yet they were criticizing his career as a prosecutor. He went to great lengths at different points to make sure he was differentiated from the person, Jack Smith, and the role of his office and representing the Department of Justice. Obviously, prosecutors are fungible. It's the people versus an issue. But there was an issue that really got under the craw of Republicans like Jim Jordan, and that was the subpoenas for phone records. Now, these subpoenas did not actually get the substance of the phone calls. No one's wiretapping through it. It's actually quite common, but you get the fact that a call was made and the duration and the telephone numbers. But then there's also a point about confidential sourcing and the payment. Did either of those 2 points, either in the first time you heard him behind closed doors or now, do you think that impacts his credibility?
No, absolutely not. The fact that he got toll records. Remember when the Senate decided to add in, when they reopened the government, $500,000 payments? Now, can you imagine that basically you decided that you were going to be on a phone call with a criminal, a defendant, right? And basically, as they are trying to develop their case and they are trying to figure out like who was where, making what phone calls, and to who and to how, that's all they were, was toll records. These were not wiretaps, right? Interestingly enough, today I also dealt with MLK and the declassification of those documents. And we were talking about Hoover and how Hoover tapped MLK's phones, right? Like, this is what the federal government did. And I also
That's the
pointed out,
substance of the call, not just the existence.
substance. Exactly, not just the existence, right? But we know that this federal government, as they said that, oh, this was a weaponization by this rogue DOJ under the Biden-Harris administration, which is very weird too, because, you know, Biden was coming in, but whole other issue. But nevertheless, and this was a special appointed prosecutor, right? But the idea that they have the audacity to make these arguments in a time in which ICE, of all organizations, has decided that they are going to spy on people, that is crazy. Like, you're mad that somebody sees that you made a phone call, yet you have nothing to say about, especially on today, where we went through our funding bill and you increased the funding to ICE. ICE is now the 5th largest funded military in the world. That is crazy. And they are consistently violating people's constitutional rights. That's not a violation of your constitutional rights whatsoever.
Identify the part about the spying. What is the reference you're making to ICE being allowed to spy? Are you talking about a memo to go into people's homes or something more?
No, right now what they are doing is getting technology to actually get at people's cell phones and that information. And so to me, I don't know how far they're going to go with that, but that's what they're doing now.
ICE can really just walk in people's door, do whatever they want with no repercussions, killing people. It doesn't make no sense. You got he's a criminal. He's hiring criminals. It's just insane, yo. I don't know what to do in life at this point. I'm about to move to another country. I don't know. Or we're gonna have to fight together. I don't know. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified when I upload, y'all. I love y'all. Peace and love, baby. We out.